I am Sophie in Nairobi, and we welcome our viewers in Kenya and around the globe. This program takes a global and exclusive look at sensitive issues affecting the public directly and indirectly, what that will mean for us in the long run, and what we can do about it. We will discuss subject matters like politics, education, health, arts, and culture. Let us dive in and take a look at major stories around the world. United States President Donald Trump threatens tariffs on another $200 billion of Chinese imports, thus escalating the trade war between the world's top two economies. Dialogue between the world's two biggest economies appears severed. Beijing cancelled the visit of a Chinese negotiating team expected in Washington. This is according to Wall Street Journal. Ugandan pop star turned opposition MP Robert Kyagulanyi, aka Bobi Wine, returned to Uganda from the United States, where he was receiving treatment of injuries he sustained in the hands of the police in Uganda. He arrived to heavy security at Entebbe International Airport and was driven to his home in Magere, Wakisho district at Brek. Bobi Wine was arrested for obstructing the presidential motorcade, during which one of Museveni's official vehicle windscreens was damaged in the ensuing chaos. Police fired live rounds to disperse the crowd, killing Kyagulanyi's driver. The 35-year-old burst onto the scene a year ago after winning the Kyadondo East seat by elections last June. In Kenya, one such case is Miguna, who, unlike Bobi Wine, is not home just yet. Miguna's participation in the swearing-in of ODM leader Raila Odinga as the people's president on January 30th at Uhuru Park marked the beginning of his woes. Despite several court orders in his favor, the controversial lawyer was marched out of the country after spending
Yes, Sophie, I can hear you.
We have Mr. Moses Ochen, a radio presenter at Lolwe FM, Mr. John Magati, who's an activist, and we also have Mr. J. Kinyanjui, who is the founder of uhondo.co.ke. Gentlemen, thank you.
Free speech does not mean that you just say whatever you want to say, even without cross-checking and seeing how truthful it is. And therefore, freedom of speech is a good thing, but it should be used sparingly, in my view.
I want to say, this is my honest opinion. I think, first of all, as a country, we are a young democracy. We just started our genuine democracy in the 90s, and we haven't had time to empower the necessary institutions like the judiciary, the executive. So you get those controlling the executive when they have so much power. They do everything. The truth doesn't come out, because in a democracy it's all about what the people think about you to elect you back to the office, and they'll do anything to remain popular. And we've seen the likes of Miguna and so many more around the world being sent away, and we have even Jamal Khashoggi who was assassinated the other day. So I believe for accountability and for the society to mature, for Kenya to mature, to grow, we have to go through ups and downs before we reach where the likes of the United States are, who have been independent for almost 200 years. So the time will take. We have to have the willing to reinvest in our institutions. We have to get involved in the program of re-education. We need to re-educate our people, the importance of knowing the truth, the importance of getting involved in politics, both in local and national. We have to train our people the importance of getting a leader from the community who represents the needs of the community. Through that way, we will be able to grow the institutions, we will be able to grow politics from within our community, we will be able to be even economically sufficient, because we are going to invest in our community and we're going to buy things from our own community. So we're going to be economically power. Then at the same time, we are not going to be played games with by politicians. Let's give you this so that they throw you a bond so that you give them the whole calf. You get? So it is important that we get through the system of free education. We get through the system of, I call it political Africanization, that we in Africans invest in politics of our own community. We don't let people from outside decide to us who's good. Close our borders so that we invest in economy of our own community. We need to invest in our own community so that you can be able to empower the institution necessary for freedom of speech. We can be able to empower necessary so that we're not manipulated by the government, by multinational corporations, by non-governmental organizations. Even we can be able to tackle crime. There's much to it when we reinvest in our society.
We have people sending us feedback on what they think about Miguna's plight. Feel free to let us know what you think. My Twitter handle is @OkondoSophie. Moving on to the next segment, we have our correspondent Tanya Wanja on our news feature, The Cry for Freedom. We are receiving feedback from various places. I cannot read them all, but I will sample out a few. I will start with you, Mr. Moses Ochieng. What impels you to tell the stories that you tell your audience?
Thank you very much, Sophie, for having me. I think the force that drives me is the mere fact that people are waiting to hear what took place in the city center, what took place in Parliament, what took place wherever it took place. And therefore, that alone in itself causes me or pushes me to want to, gather the information and disseminate it to the general public.
Mr. Magati, as an activist, do you think it is very important and imperative that people tell the truth, even if it means through radical measures?
It is written in the scriptures, the truth will always set you free. And once knowledge is power, and most times knowledge is the truth. And if you cannot get the right information as the truth, then it is hard for you to plan for the future. It's hard for you to plan on anything.
Mr. J. Kinyanjuru, being the founder of uhondo.co.ke, have you ever been sued or faced any libel cases so far since inception?
Thank you so much for that question. Telling the truth is a norm and is a must for every journalist out there. Be it a journalist, be it a blogger, be it a vlogger or somebody who does something to educate the masses out there, or does something to tell something about something that happened. So I can say telling the truth is one of the basic and one of the best things to do as a writer. So if you don't tell the truth, then there's nothing you're doing, you're just gossiping. So writing the truth is one of the things that every writer needs to do.
Mr. Moses Ochieng, your audience know you as Ochieng Dago. What do you think about telling your audience the truth every time you go on air? Do you feel obligated to tell them the truth?
It goes without saying, in journalism, as a journalist that is worth his or her salt, whatever you're doing, whatever piece of information you're trying to give to your people, to the general public, must have an element of truthfulness. It has to have an element of accuracy. It has to have an element of correctness, and therefore truthful, whatever you're giving, the information that you're sharing with people has to be true.
Gentlemen, I pose this question to all of you. Do you think the government is muzzling its citizens, or do you think it is protecting it in its essence?
It is muzzling its citizens. Now, I want to quote from a judge of the High Court called Justice John Mativo. He said that criminal defamation charges is a way of stifling and silencing the free flow of information in the public domain and would result in the citizenry remaining uninformed on matters of public interest. And therefore, to answer your question, the government is muzzling the citizenry.
Gentlemen, what do you think can be done?
In my opinion, I think the Media Council of Kenya should be left to regulate itself. The Media Council should come up with a framework, with laws, with regulations to guide journalists and make them do the right thing. That is the only way we are going to have a free media in this country.
On our social media pages, we have at Helen Wanjohi, who seems to disagree with Mr. John McGarty. She says democracy, as defined by several scholars, can be said to be a government of the people, by the people, for the people. The law is meant to guide us, to create order and cohesion. However, that does not mean victimize citizens in the name of order and cohesion. This is why we have human rights. They say human rights are alienable by the mere fact that we are human beings. We have certain freedoms that every citizen needs to know. We have freedom of worship, freedom of movement, freedom of right of speech and expression. This, however, does not mean that we can say anything anytime we want, because everything we say, everything we do have consequences. That is why we have the law. There are clear structures and procedures. Citizens seeking asylum abroad for fear of the very government meant to protect them is satirical. Miguna claimed he was tortured, sedated, and forced to leave his home country against his will, despite his insistence on being a Kenyan citizen and the mere fact that he was born in Kenya. The government has repeatedly refused to issue Miguna with a valid passport, claiming that he relinquished his citizenship in 1987 when he sought asylum in Canada. It is up to us as citizens to call up the government when they're on the wrong. We live in a democratic country. Let us make our voices count. In a world that chooses to whisper, decide to shout. I am Sophie Opondo. See you again next time, same place. This was SON Network.